We've seen the announcement from the US that QE is winding down. Last time that happened, there was what were called the taper tantrums in some of the Asian markets. Do you expect more volatility now as that unwinds?
I think there will be increasing volatility, but actually that will be normal, because as the liquidity is absorbed, that will create its own amount of volatility, because of course you just don't have the deepness of all that liquidity to absorb it. You no longer have that shock absorber. But as to whether or not it will be totally focused on Asia, I don't think so. I think the adjustments that happened in the taper tantrums, as you call it, in Indonesia and India, were probably quite useful adjustments. But looking forward, you still got to remember that the tap is still full on in Japan. That mitigates the situation a little bit, and of course Europe is not looking as though it can do anything but probably turn that tap on a little bit more as well.
And when we think about China, the question always gets asked, and I know it always gets asked of you,
yeah.
hard landing softly?
Yeah. No, I've been asked about hard landings in China for 30 years, and I've yet to see one. I still don't believe it will happen. I think what people tend to forget about China is that the slowing of China that we're seeing at the moment is policy driven. It is what the government wants to happen. There are no doubts that there are issues in the provincial debt. In provinces, their own debt levels are very high. However, the mitigating fact there, of course, is that the central government has virtually no debt. You've got the issue around the shadow banking system, but again, if you compare that to the size of the US shadow banking system, it pales into insignificance. And of course you've got issues of overcapacity in certain areas. I think there is a problem in the mining industry a little bit. They haven't done the SOE reforms that are probably needed maybe as quickly as possible. That has led to the proliferation of actually poor quality mines being maintained. And that's not been terribly good. One for the country in terms of that these are working at a loss, and two for the environment because they're generally high polluting facilities. But that's an opportunity for Australia, because eventually those things will be closed down and they'll import resources from Australia which are cleaner and better quality and cheaper.
And indeed, what's your outlook for the Australian economy then? I know you've said that you've often predicted that the business market will pick up, and it hasn't yet.
Yeah, and I've been saying that for 3 years, so I must be right soon. But I do feel that it's right that we move a little bit from the consumer-driven credit growth to corporate credit growth, and we keep seeing signs of it, and then it pulls back, and signs of it, and it pulls back a little bit. And I think it is a state of mind. I think it really, people have just got to get out there and say, okay, enough's enough, we've got to get on with things. There are issues in the economy in terms of the fact that it is going through a transformation. I've said to you before, we're moving from business models which were really designed for the 20th century to business models that are required for the 21st century. And that is actually creating quite a lot of jobs, but it's also losing a number of jobs. The trouble is that those jobs are being created in different places from where the ones being lost are. And one of the issues that faces Australia is that the workforce is not that mobile. We were in Darwin a couple of months ago, and we're finding it really difficult to get hold of staff up there. And all the service industries are finding the same thing. There's any number of jobs. There's just people trying to find people who go there. And actually Darwin's a really nice place, and I don't understand why you wouldn't want to be there.